Hi there, everyone. My name's AJ. I work for Nuaware. I help businesses select the best tooling for the environment and the infrastructure, support them in their journey into containerization and utilizing the cloud. Today, I want to talk about what Kubernetes is and why it's so popular, some of the challenges and the business benefits around it. So, first of all, Kubernetes is a container orchestrator platform. So, this is open source. It enables it to be, cloud agnostic, meaning you can switch between different cloud providers, effectively enabling you to automate the deployment, the scaling, and management of, containerized applications. It can also work with any container system that conforms to the Open Container Initiative, the OCI standards for container image formats and runtimes. It was also originally developed by Google through their 15 years of research and development experience and their own internal need for a container orchestrated platform. Just to note, you would also see K8, which is just a abbreviation of Kubernetes. You may see that around. The CNCF, which is also known as the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, that is a Linux Foundation project that was founded in 2015 to help advance container technology. So Kubernetes is currently maintained by the CNCF Foundation. So most of the biggest technology vendors themselves are members of the CNCF. They can also make many of the changes and improvements that go back into the open source project. So what is the difference between an orchestrator and a container? So the container orchestration is a platform that automates the deployment, the management, the scaling, the networking, and availability of a containerized based application. A container is basically your application broken down into lightweight software packages, whereas the orchestrator is a tool that automates the deployment and management of those containers. So without a container orchestrator, it will not be possible to run containerized application, especially in a production environment. The complexity makes organizations hesitant to deploy Kubernetes in production. That is why it's important to look at additional tooling that supports security and resilience. Kubernetes doesn't offer many features to secure a containerized application. It does have basic security features, but it doesn't offer anything to be able to secure an application or inspect the contents of a container for security flaws. So that is where additional security tooling like Prisma Cloud comes in. So why is Kubernetes so popular? So it helps you move faster. Your development teams can quickly and efficiently request resources they need. If they need more resources to handle additional load, they can get those just as quickly, since all those resources come from an infrastructure shared across all your teams. So you wouldn't need to request new machines to run your applications. It's cost efficient. Kubernetes and containers allow for much better resource utilization than your virtual machines did, because containers are lightweight by design. They require less CPU and memory resources to run, so you can almost pinpoint the exact amount of CPU and memory that you need, as opposed to having to just overestimate and guess. It's also cloud agnostic, so it runs on AWS, on Azure, on Google Cloud, and you can also run it on premise. So you can move workloads without having to redesign your applications or completely rethink your infrastructure. So that lets you standardize on the platform and in turn avoid vendor lock-in. Cloud providers also, most of the major cloud providers offer a Kubernetes as a service platform. So Amazon offer EKS, Azure offer AKS, and then you have Companies like Red Hat and IBM, they also offer their own Kubernetes services, a full Kubernetes platform management. So, I mean, more of the focus can be put on the shipping of your applications. So some of the challenges, I mean, the technology landscape itself can be confusing. One thing developers love about open source technologies like Kubernetes is the potential for fast-paced innovation, but sometimes it can become too much innovation and create confusion, especially when the central Kubernetes code moves faster than the users can keep up with it. And then you add on, other platforms and managed service providers. It can be hard for new adopters, especially, to make sense of the landscape. And also, forward-thinking developers and IT teams don't always align with the business priorities. So when budgets are only allocated to maintain the systems, it can be hard to get funding to experiment with Kubernetes adoption initiatives, and they can absorb a significant amount of time and team resource. Additionally, enterprise IT teams are often adverse to risk and slow to change. And yeah, teams are still acquiring the skills required to leverage Kubernetes. So it was only a few years ago that developers and IT operations had to readjust their practices, now known as DevOps. And now they have to adopt container orchestration as well. Also, it can be difficult to manage. So, if any number of Kubernetes stories, from outages in the GitHub repo as well. So that can be something which can be a slight risk. So some of the benefits, so portability. So I mean, Kubernetes offers portability and it's faster and simpler deployment time. So that means companies can take advantages of multiple cloud providers if needed, and grow rapidly without having to re-architect their infrastructure. The scalability factor. So with Kubernetes, you have the ability to run on one or more public cloud environments, in virtual machines, on bare metal, and it can be deployed almost anywhere. And because Kubernetes has fundamentally changed the way development and deployments are made, teams can also scale much faster than they could in the past. However, along with the benefits of scalability and abstraction comes increased complexity. So this complexity makes organizations hesitant to deploy Kubernetes in production. So things like Gremlin's chaos engineering tool is also a very important way of identifying, targeting, and experimenting on Kubernetes objects in order to proactively identify weaknesses. So that gives businesses a chance to understand how their systems can handle failure before that failure has a chance to impact customers and the business. And that would also help SREs and DevOps teams simulate real-world failure. So, those can be, quite unpredictable and expensive. So high availability. So, both applications and infrastructure level, that is. So it Kubernetes adds a reliable kind of storage layer to ensure like stateful workloads are highly available and in addition to that, the master components can be configured for multi-node replication, and that ensures high availability. Open source. So since Kubernetes is open source, you can take advantage of the vast ecosystem of other open source tools designed specifically to work with Kubernetes without the lock-in of a closed proprietary system. And because it's a market leader and it was developed and used and maintained by Google, it gives it instant credibility and can be trusted to fix bugs and release new features on a regular basis. So thank you for your time today. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and this was an overview of what Kubernetes is and why businesses are using it, and will be using it more and more going forward. So thank you for your time today.